to the Haunted Library, ghouls and gals, gather round. Today I'm going to be reading Chutes and Ladders, the story with a fun twist on a childhood game. However, this one does have trigger warnings for childhood or spousal abuse, so if that's not your thing, maybe skip this one and come back on Easter for another reading. Book, come now, come. Chutes and Ladders. Mama, you're bleeding, Bonnie exclaimed, running across the kitchen. The old avocado linoleum was covered in broken glass. The shards crunched under her white Mary Janes. Her mother rubbed her arm roughly over her face and dried her eyes. Her forearm smeared the blood across her cheek that was trickling out of her nose. Sniffing, she pulled herself up to her feet, leaning on the table for support. I'm okay, baby. You need to hurry off to school. You know Daddy gets upset when you miss the bus. Smoothing her brown curls from her face, she smiled her best smile at Bonnie. I just fell down, that's all. I should have been more careful. Bonnie's green eyes scanned the floor, towing a piece of broken glass. Okay, Mama, I'm going. Hugging her mother, she hurried out the door. Edith, are you going to clean this shit up or just sit around like the fat cow you are? Dale boomed. Gasping, Bonnie pulled the door shut and ran to her bus stop. Squatting in the gravel, she covered her ears. The cool November breeze swirled around her pink skirt. Icy rain began to fall from the sky. The yellow school bus pulled around the corner, lumbering up the gravel road. Stopping with a screech, the driver pushed the door open. Good morning, Miss Bonnie, the driver said cheerfully with a hint of pity in his eye. Giggling, she skipped up the steps. Hi, Uncle Jake. Swinging into an empty seat, the bus rattled down the road. The dense country woods spanned as far as the eye could see in every direction. Cresting over the great hill, the trees broke away, revealing an old one-room schoolhouse. The red schoolhouse has a missing window that was covered in plastic wrap. The other three windows were so cloudy it was almost impossible to see through them. A rickety gray sign hung above the store, Aracoma Elementary School. 4 neat rows of desks filled the room. A light dusting of chalk covered every inch of the building. Miss Turlington smiled brightly as they shuffled into the room. Welcome back from Thanksgiving break, kids. Oh, how much I've missed you all. The desks were color-coded by grades. Bonnie was delighted to learn, but the yellow desk from kindergartens just made her heart happier than the red ones of first grade. Her stomach rumbled loudly, causing the other kids to burst into fits of giggles. Few things in life can replace a great teacher. Swooping in on cue, Miss Turlington passed out welcome back snacks. Masking her concern, she kept a smile glued to her face. Bonnie looked even smaller than when they returned from the summer. As sorry as she was to think it, it could be worse. Some kids from Aracoma didn't have homes, and they didn't have parents. Stooping down, Miss Turtleton scrunched her nose, making a funny noise. Bonnie laughed. You're so silly, Miss Turlington, she smiled, making oink noises in return. I really like your dress, Bonnie, Miss Turlington said, rolling the fabric between her fingers. I noticed when you pulled up your sleeves for playtime, you had a lot of polka dots on your arms. Where did all these bruises come from? Pulling her sleeves back down, Bonnie's face became serious. Mama said I'm not supposed to talk about it. Why did she say that? She said I'll get into trouble. Glancing up at the clock, she sighed. It's 1:30. Playtime is over, Miss Turlington. Looking over her shoulder at the clock, true enough, Bonnie was right. It sure is, sugar. You must have practiced on that clock really hard on your break. Beaming at the compliment, Bonnie shook her head, her massive brown hair bouncing wildly. All right, children, let's get out our math books. The rain beat on the window, the gray clouds casting a gloomy shadow over the red building. The wind howled, rattling the windows. The old wooden door blew open, clanging into the wall, cracking the drywall. They gasped in unison. Rushing over, Miss Turlington closed the door tightly, trying her best to soothe the panicky children. She breathed a sigh of relief when the dirty yellow bus pulled in front of the school. Standing by the exit, she held a wicker basket full of donuts. Each child got to pick a chocolate or powder. Waving the children off, Miss Turlington latched the door behind them, locking out the cold. Jake Burkhart always took the long way around, dropping the kids off. That way he could drop Bonnie off last. Jake wasn't stupid. He knew his brother Dale was no angel. Everybody had mental issues to deal with. Being the sole breadwinner was hard. But he also knew Dale went too far, too often. The ash gray two-story farmhouse seen better days. It was missing shutters on some windows and missing siding in others places. The coal industry had taken a hit with all those hippie liberal laws. It was like the government was trying to kill the little man. The bus gently rocked down the gravel path, swerving to avoid the gaping potholes. Bonnie squealed with delight as she slung herself to and fro. Pulling up to the house, Jake hit the brakes, his eyebrows knit together in concern, lining the deep wrinkles in his face. Sitting alone on the stool on the porch was Edith, shivering in the icy winds. Her arms and lips had taken on a bluish hue. Edith kept her eyes glued to the worn wooden porch. Jake ushered Bonnie inside. Closing the door behind them, Dale was on the plaid sofa watching NASCAR. A pile of beer cans littered the coffee table. Get up to the table and start your homework, Cinnabon. I'm going to talk to your daddy really fast. Kissing her hair, Jake shooed her away. Dale, what's going on? Jake asked, crossing his arms over his wide chest. It's like 10 degrees outside. Why isn't Edith wearing a coat? No, for a matter of fact, what is she doing sitting outside? Dale paid no attention to Jake. Keeping his eyes on the TV, he took another long chug of his beer. Sighing, Jake walked over and switched off the TV. Dale's eyes set ablaze into an inferno of rage. What the fuck do you think you're doing? Can't a man relax? Why is Edith sitting outside in the cold day in this weather? We're getting a blizzard, man, Jake said, standing his ground. If I didn't know any better, I'd say a man taking interest in another man's wife might be suspicious, Dale said, eyeing his brother. It's not even like that, Dale. She's turning blue for Pete's sake. If you like that bitch so much, you can take her with you when you leave. Get the fuck out of my house, Jake. I beat your ass before, I can do it again. Looking past Dale into the kitchen, he saw Bonnie watching in horror, hiding in the doorframe. Knowing a lost cause when he saw one, Jake just shook his head. Staying would only make it worse for them. Clicking the TV back on, he made his way outside. Edith still had her eyes glued to the porch. I'm sorry, Edith, he murmured on his way down the steps. Edith, get your fat ass in here, Dale bellowed from the couch. Edging off the stool, she steadied herself on the railing. Her legs had gone numb long ago. Walking into the house on shaky legs, she held her breath, waiting for the blow. Edith, you have been my wife for 8 years. I'm giving you one chance to tell me the truth. Why is my baby brother so concerned about you? Dale asked, watching the TV. I'm not sure, she mumbled, holding her hands. I can't hear you, dummy. Did you sit out there so long you forgot how to talk? He barked. No, I haven't. I don't know why he's worried. Honest, Dale, she said with more conviction, not daring to raise her gaze. Jumping up from the couch he was on her in the blink of an eye. Startling, Edith fell to the ground, urine spilling on the hardwood floor. Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. Clean this up, he said, kicking her legs. Pushing up onto her hands and knees, Edith sobbed. I will, Dale. Running off into the kitchen, Dale returned his attention to the TV. Bring me a beer, will ya? Baby, what did you get on your dress? You know messy clothes annoy your father, Edith said in hushed tones. Bonnie sat in her chair. Her yellow dress had chocolate smears on the skirt. A shaky smile crept onto Bonnie's face. Miss Turlington gave us donuts today. Do you want one, Mama? Bonnie asked, holding out a small donut to her mother. God damn it, he roared from the living room. Stomping into the kitchen, he backhanded Edith. Bouncing off the worn dining room table, she hit the floor. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Is that what you think too? That I'm too stupid to provide for my family? Grabbing Edith by the hair, he pulled her from the kitchen. Dragging her up the stairs, she tried to get her feet under her. Blood trickled down her forehead as her scalp tore. "Stop hurting my mama," Bonnie yelled, charging up the stairs, beating her dad's back with her little fist. "Stop that, you little retard," he spat, kicking her down the steps. Landing in a crumpled heap, pain exploded all over her body. Trying to move, the pain intensified. She laid there watching her father crest the top of the stairs. Throwing Edith into their bedroom, he gave one last hate-filled glance to Bonnie before following her inside. No, Dale, please stop. Dale, no," she screamed. The bright flash from the firearm lit up the hallway as her mother's screams died. The world around Bonnie began to blur, and the spinning room faded into darkness. The door to the rickety old farmhouse crept open. Annie pushed her head inside. Her red hair was fiery against the beige walls. Looking left, then right, she paused to listen. Her ears began to ring in the silence. Coming fully into the entranceway, she smoothed down her cotton dress. "Bonnie, are you in here?" Falling silent again, she waved the two men behind her. "Bonnie, we've had some calls about a little girl in this house." Dropping their bags on the floor, Henry leaned on the sofa, chewing loudly around a riot burger. "I'm really hoping we find her. She must be so scared." "Don't be scared, baby. Your dad can't hurt you. We just want to help." Perking her head to the left, she heard the little pitter-patter of feet running across the upstairs. "You said her room was upstairs, right?" Lance asked, tying his red flannel shirt around his waist. "Bonnie, would you come down here and talk with us?" Annie called out up the stairs. The door at the end of the hall slammed. "I guess not." Shrugging, Henry scooped up the ketchup that fell on his white shirt with a fry. "We could put out snacks. I would come down for cookies." Lance rifled through the bag and pulled out a plate of cookies. Clicking on her headlamp, she sighed. "I'm going to check upstairs. You guys keep watch for her down here." Taking the stairs slow, Annie stopped on the landing. "Bonnie, are you up here?" "I have a present for you." The door at the hall cracked open. No 6-year-old could deny an exciting gift. Pulling a dolly from behind her back, the pink dress was covered in little strawberries. Opening the door, Annie looked around the empty room. "You don't have to hide. Darling, we just want to help you." Bending down to peer under the bed, she jumped as the door slammed shut behind her. Grunting, she shook her head. "This will be harder than I thought," she mused. Running back down the hallway, the front door was wide open. "Did you see her?" Annie yelled. Lance and Henry stuck their head out of the kitchen, looking sheepishly between themselves. We were guarding the back door?" "Together?" Annie asked. "I told you to stay in the living room," Henry said, smacking Lance in the chest. "Me? I came in here first." "It was creepy in there," Henry whined. "You guys really are the worst," she breathed. "Well, she grabbed the cookies, so I guess we just have to wait her out." Sitting around the old coffee table, Henry unwrapped another riot burger. Lance and Annie shared a glance of annoyance. "What? Why be hungry and scared, eh? This is Alabama. Like, their guns have guns." "Wait, I thought you cleared this. Does anybody know we are in their home?" "Well, you see, they never returned my call, so..." "For the love of Christ," Annie breathed. "Do you guys ever think I'm out?" Standing up, she snatched her keys from the coffee table. The back door slammed shut. Turning her head slowly to look to the kitchen, she dropped her keys back down. "Bonnie, we just want to help. Why do you want to stay here?" "It's my home," the little girl whispered from the kitchen. "Do you have any more cookies? I'm really hungry. And I miss my mama. Where is she?" Grabbing what was left of Henry's fries, Annie went into the kitchen. The large room was empty. Sitting the fries down on the counter, she slid into the chair. "Your daddy hurt your mama really bad." Tiny feet padded up the steps. The sound of Bonnie crying drifted through the old farmhouse. "Fuck," Annie whispered to herself. "Bonnie, we can't help you if you don't let us." "Kids usually aren't this hard. What actually happened here? Your report was very vague." "Classic case of chutes and ladders," Lance said, shrugging, picking up the fries from the counters. "And what does that mean?" You know, he shoots her and climbs up a ladder, and well, Lance said, mimicking a rope pulling up around his neck. Ah, I see. Poor kid. She had no peace, Henry said, popping the last bite into his mouth. Her teacher said she was all bruised up like a bad peach. Bonnie, we just want to help you find peace and go to the other side, Annie called. Tell us where your daddy put your body, Lance chimed in. Smacking him on the head, Henry growled. That isn't something to ask a child, you nitwit, Henry chastised. A small orb floated over the window. The trio watched it float past the house, replaced with bright headlights steadily coming up the drive. Fuck, we gotta go, Lance said, grabbing his bag. He ran out the back door. Don't leave, the little girl said in the darkness. They always leave. I really miss my mama. So sometimes playing children's games isn't all fun and games. Until next time, happy hauntings.